Welcome back to True Story with John Gibson. Today's guest is Seth Daniels. He is the CEO, founder of Fight to Win. Seth, thanks for joining me, man.
It's always weird for me to hear titles like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hard to identify yourself as like a
weird,
CEO.
You know what I mean?
Right?
It's a weird thing for me to always hear that way, because it's like I grind like everybody else, you know what I mean? Like I lift boards and plug in lights and DJ and stuff. So it's like weird to say that stuff, but yes, that's me.
For sure. No, for sure. Well, actually, to that end too, like I think to your credit, like I think that's a lot of the many reasons I feel like you're really respected in our community. But like, dude, you answer your own emails. Exactly. You're lifting boards. You show up at events early to set up. You break down. Like I mean, it's true. It's more than passion, right? Like it's more than labor of love. Like this is like your baby in a sense, right?
I work out. I don't get to work out as much anymore because that we're back on tour. It's so much work. So it's like it's the only workout I get now. So, so I'll lift the board to stay in shape, but, we're going through some transitions with our staff and bringing on new people and just let go, some others. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like the core people have to step up and do more stuff right now than we used to. But yeah, I mean, I love what I do, it's the reason I work so much and keep pushing, but it's exciting now to get back on tour. And because the past year and a half, we've pretty much been in Texas and Miami,
right?
Man.
Yeah. No, well, we'll start there. And I definitely want to like kind of pick your brain about, founding Fight to Win and all that. But I want to say this really quick because you said that. I was going to say it anyway, but it makes sense. Like, I mean this in all sincerity without like kissing ass. I want to let you know, and I'm sure people have expressed this to you, but like we all really do owe you like a legitimate thank you and some gratitude because during the pandemic, anybody in our jiu-jitsu community, and I call it a community because it's important to me, like you gave athletes an opportunity to compete and make money. And you gave fans, spectators like me, something to look forward to watch, to follow. And you did it safely. You were preaching masks. You didn't care. You kept everything as, fighter safety in mind. And you kept kind of being nimble and moving, like you said, Florida, Texas, and the venues that would allow you. So like, I do want to take a moment just to say like, why the IBJJF and all these other things stopped. Man, I do very much appreciate what you did for our community, your team, you and your team.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I feel like a lot of people, it's kind of like I said this in a couple other interviews. I feel like with COVID, like a lot of people, they forget because it's like COVID was kind of like a tattoo, right? Like it sucked while we were in it, and now that it's essentially over, people are gonna forget and go back to the way that they were before, and it was an interesting experience for us for sure, because we've been on tour for 5 years with no more than 4 weeks off. And then it was boom. And then sitting around for a month, and the first couple of weeks was really fun. Like all we did was party and
you needed it, I bet.
Well, like it was like shit, we're gonna have time off, like, and we can't control it, like literal time off, because I don't really get time off. If I get a couple weeks off, like that's time to work on upcoming events and stuff like that. But it was like, I just got off of Facebook, I got off of Instagram, watched a lot of 90 Day Fiance and whatever else was
nice.
Tiger King, right?
Yeah.
And like everybody else,
right?
Then for like a few weeks, like this stress starts hitting you, and it's like, shit, man, like it's over. And it was along with Flow Grappling, like they really stepped up and helped me like launch that vision of like how we're going to do this without fans.
Yeah.
For the first 10 shows before they screwed me over. So we launched it and ran with it, but I think a lot of people, it's so easy to forget, but it wasn't really just us though that risked it. It was like the venues, they were risking it with their insurance. The fighters were risking it, especially the ones that are traveling on their own dollar all over the country. We had some shows where there was literally 5 local people on the entire show and everybody else was from all over the country, because I was like, look, if you're willing to buy your plane ticket and you really want to compete that badly, like I'll give you a spot on the show. I don't care. We're not selling tickets anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people were flying from everywhere to compete. Right. And it was just crazy because it was just so different than what our normal model is.
Sure.
You know? But it was fun. You know, we had a good time and we were actually doing stuff, you know, and now it seems like it was so long ago, you know, that
it's crazy.
It does. Like the past month at least seems like it was 2 months, and the past 6 months seems like it was 2 years, just because like with the influx of people and from masks being, you know, like having to wear masks everywhere you go, and then for us traveling and not really knowing what when we go into a city or not, what the mandates are, and having to figure it out and having to submit these plans to the fire department and getting shut down multiple times. We got shut down by Texas twice, Philly twice.
Wow.
And we never got shut down in Florida. They didn't care for it. But we had to move. That's why we were moving. What we did was we would just do a show. We would keep doing them until we get shut down by the city. And then we go to the next city, keep doing them until we get shut down, move back, and then we got, I think 5 shows were like literally booked, every fight booked and all that shit. And then boom.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, pivot, next date. You know what I mean? It was, but now it's way more fun now because touring is way harder on you physically and mentally, but like getting to go to new crowds and see new people and old people for us, because we haven't been to California or to the West Coast in 18 months, and we did 40% of our shows were West Coast.
Yeah.
So like it's been like missing our entire family, you know.
Sure.
I love Texas to death, man, but I'm ready to get back west.
Yeah, sure. So
I appreciate that though, because I think a lot of people forget about that, you know.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and it's amazing you accomplished that much during that time. You're right, during that crazy time span. It's wild. And I'll say this too, to kind of pay you another compliment, because as you were talking, I was just thinking about it. But like one of the things that sets you apart, meaning Fight to Win, is your production value is awesome. And you guys market, and you really, in my opinion, you do a lot for the fighters. Like you've made stars you've made me become fans of people, you know, for sure.
So that was like the plan.
Yeah. And none of that was sacrificed during the pandemic at all. Like you still had like, you know, you were still firing on all cylinders with the promotions and those things. So it's pretty amazing that in light of all the things, all the obstacles you just detailed, like none of that stuff suffered. It's another thing, you know, I just discounted. That's pretty incredible.
Well, some of it did actually. We've actually been running at half production for all year. Wow. All of this year, we've only been running at half production. And we go back to full production this week in Denver. We, you know, financially it's been hard because not only, it's my fault. I got used to putting these shows together every week and then having to go somewhere else, put it together. Fighters don't have time to promote. Ticket sales are way down. Like we're hitting maybe like 200 to 300 people per show, which would have put me out of business. But we scaled the business to where like 300 people is like big for us now, you know? And so I had to scale the business way down, cut staff way down, cut production costs way down because I got used to that. And so now I'm like trying to get ahead again, but it's just so hard when you're touring because you never really get a break, you know? So it's like, I'm doing the best I can. My graphic designer passed away in May that was tough for me because like he's been with me. He was my first employee in 2007. Wow. And we've done everything together, every event we've ever done. And he made every poster and ADCC, Fight to Win, our MMA stuff, our pro stuff, my concerts, everything we ever did. He was my dude. And he passed away. Had a heart attack out of nowhere. 47 years old, healthiest dude I know.
Jeez, wow.
Like, crazy, right? And so he had a heart attack, and like 2 weeks later, my dad died. And so it was like I had to go take care of the estate. And so it was like back and forth. And so I took a month off, and everybody probably thought I would like get ahead. And I was like, fuck, I've never been more behind.
No, I'm sure you,
but
no capacity
it's funny.
for that.
One of the things about the pandemic was I kind of got into it with Flo about this, was they were promoting, and obviously now it's a different world, but they were promoting Mikey Musumeci during the pandemic, like all this Mikey Musumeci stuff, right?
Yeah, big time.
All this stuff about and I was like bitching about it. And if Mikey sees this, like it had nothing to do with him. The whole point was we need to focus on the people that are willing to risk their health right now, regardless of what you think about COVID, to go and compete. So I was like, stop talking about people that aren't competing. Yeah. Like focus on Gabriel Almeida, Elizabeth Clay, these people that are stepping up during this fucking crazy time and putting themselves out there. And eventually they wound up doing it. And that's when, Elizabeth I think she's probably became the biggest star of the pandemic.
She's on the show this week, and it's totally because of all of this. Totally. I became a fan when she fought Gabby, and then was like, who is she? And then I've been obsessed. Yep.
Well, I knew who she was for a long time. I've known about Elizabeth. And then she beat my student at ADCC trials for third place. Yeah. And then she consistently beat one of my students like in the finals of Worlds like every year. And so I've known about Elizabeth for a long time, but I never worked with her. Yeah. And it just happened during the pandemic. She moved to California or wherever, from Alaska or wherever she was from, and had access to her. And then we just started booking her. And then, she went from like her and Junie are kind of my
another great example. Yeah.
Success stories of doing it. Like I'll call it the fight to win way, right? Where it's like in the beginning, like they flew themselves out to fight, right? They didn't get paid anything. They flew themselves out, stayed in their own hotels. After the first fight, they were a little bit fast tracked once I saw the amount of talent that they had.
Sure. Of course, though.
After the first,
how can you not promote them? Yeah.
Well, it's like Wiltsey too. Andrew Wiltsey, the same way.
Oh, the man. Oh, I love that. I took a private with him last year, and it was just like mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, the whole team, it's like we started, they brought themselves out, they all brought themselves out. None of them got paid anything.
Yeah.
And then after the first fight, I covered their travel. Wow. And then they come out, and then they get paid a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And it just, it stacks up, regardless of whatever Gordon wants to talk shit about the way I pay people. There's a reason that we're able to stay in business the way that we are. And it's not a matter of like, us banking and swimming in fucking gold coins. Right. It's just a matter of being responsible business people and getting people in to understand that it's not, we don't have, VC money. We don't.
Yeah, exactly.
We built this from the ground, with nothing. Right. $2,000 in 2008, and my money comes from our tournaments, and we have done one tournament since the pandemic. So we've been skating by doing, fight to win pro events. And really, honestly, like living off of past income, past profits is what paid for this whole thing. We didn't get any of the loans, any of the PPP stuff.
Yeah, there's no bailouts, right? Yeah.
No, I probably could have done all that, but I didn't have time to fucking fill all that bullshit out. Like, I was working.
Right, you were trying to keep the ball rolling.
Working, like it wasn't time. I didn't have any time to do any of it, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll make my own money. I don't need the handouts.
Yeah.
And other people that need it take it, and so we just kept grinding, but those type of people now, they're getting paid good money, and they're getting paid more than a lot of people are sitting on their asses not competing for sure.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy how backwards that is. Yeah.
And so they're making good money now. They're household names. They've got seminar tours, the Tackett brothers.
Yeah.
They've fought for me since Fight to Win 2. But
yeah, those guys are awesome. Yeah.
But we had a lot. Me and Ryan from Third Coast, like me and him had our issues a couple years ago over. I don't even know what it was over, to be honest with you. It was just probably me just being salty, because I get salty anytime anybody starts a company that like I feel is ripping off what I do. Which is what everyone does, because I created professional jiu-jitsu, but I still get salty because I'm a child. And I don't remember. I'm sure I started it with Ryan, but we like kind of squashed everything during quarantine because like that was one thing I learned from COVID. It was like none of that shit matters.
Yeah,
like,
no.
none of it matters. And me and him were just kind of talking about like kind of how are we going to survive this? Like how are we going to go forward? And I came up with the tournament concept. And I was like, one of us runs with this tournament concept. One of us sticks with the super fight concept. Let's see who can get more funding from Flow.
Interesting. Right? Wow, that's how that happened. Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to pitch this.
Wow.
You pitch that, and let's see who gets more funding. They didn't give him any more funding. And so the tournament concept is the best way for promoters to make money.
Yeah.
Because like, say for instance, like that what's it called? Emerald Invitational. Emerald City Classic on August 7th.
I did just see that. Yeah,
right? Yeah. He's got like 6 mega stars on that event. That would cost, if you're booking, it's like Gabriel Souza, Kennedy, Josh, Plato, couple other guys. Like that alone, those guys are around $15,000. But when you do a tournament like what EUG does or what Third Coast is doing, you only have $10,000, right? Wow. And it's by far the best way of making money as a promoter. But you know, somebody's not going to make any money. Yeah. You know, the people that lose aren't going to make any money. So, you know, it's like it works out for the guy that wins because you take home a $10,000 check or like Submission Underground, you know.
Right.
Ryan kind of changed it to where it's like a little more fair. So it's like, all right, if you win one round, you get X amount of money. You win the next round, you get X amount of money.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I got some more funding from Flow for those first 10 events. So I just kept with my same concept and he kept with his, and then he went with the tournament route, and now everybody's kind of copying him. Yeah. And you know, and Flow's copying me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I mean, that's just kind of businesses is. It's just,
I mean, you're gonna, the lemmings, right? You're gonna follow the leader. And well, let me ask, what was your formal, like, you're obviously you have a great business mind. Like, were you always somebody that wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was that sort of in you?
Oh man, I never thought. I mean, I owned my own business when I was like 9. I started a collectibles business with my father.
Okay.
And so we did baseball cards, or not just baseball cards. I shouldn't say that. Sports cards. You're my age, so you remember Magic.
Yeah, big time. The Gathering. Yeah.
So made a lot of money on Pogs, Magic Gathering, Beanie Baby.
I still have my collection, bro.
Yeah. But I mean, we were big time in collectibles. My dad, when he was a kid, collected Silver Age comics and took really good care of them. And I mean, I just literally picked up 10,000 Silver Age comics from my dad's estate. And it's like, it's cool because we catalog everything on the CPG, and it's something that our kids, mine and my sister will like manage, like, and keep together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
how cool.
It's cool. Yeah, it's a cool thing. But like it was our business, me and my dad, from the time I was 9 till 17, every weekend that I didn't have a judo tournament, we would set up at comic book trade shows, and then we would run auctions and all that shit, man. And so that was my entrepreneurial background, came from that. And then when I was 17, I got hired at 24 Hour Fitness. And when my dad moved, he moved back to Oklahoma, and I was still living in Texas. And so, you know, I had enough money to live on my own from the collectibles. So I did that. And then I wanted to finish high school, and he wanted to move back to Oklahoma. And so I got a job at 24 Hour Fitness. And I worked there until 2009, from 98 to 2009. And I was Seth from 24 Hour Fitness. That was me, you know, like you call my phone. It's like, hey, this is Seth from 24 Hour Fitness. Sorry, missed your call. Go ahead and reach me at the club, 303-699-2400. Get back to you as soon as possible. Like that was fucking me, dude. Like I was a trainer for 2 years, and then I was a sales manager, and then I was a general manager, then I was a district manager. And I did that for 12 years. I loved it.
I walked that walk for 2 years, briefly. The sales manager, assistant GM, then the place before close. Not at a 24-hour, a different one.
Yeah.
But
that's how it was.
Man.
And you know that life. The gym business printed money. back then.
For a while, yeah.
I mean, it was
such
at that point
management. It's a shame. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it's the same thing that happened to us. So I mean, basically, we had, at that time, I believe only 16% of the American adult population was members at a gym at that time. So you had this 84% of America wasn't working out in the early 90s. I mean, in the late 90s and early 2000s. This is before all this home shit came out, before there was CrossFit, before there was circuit gyms. Like we owned the industry 24 hours. And then I worked with Mastroff and Magic Johnson and Jason Williams and like all Lance Armstrong, even though he's a dick, and Shaq and like all these amazing people during that time frame. And then Mark sold the company in like 2004 to an investment firm for like $4 billion or something like that. And that's how he
got out just in time. Good for him.
No, he got out. I mean, we cashed out our stock options, which is great, but like everything changed and it got so shitty and it turned so corporate. And the last like 4 years I worked there, I fucking hated it, man. Like every day I dreaded going to work, which was so different than because like we partied so hard when Mark was the owner. Like it's such a stupid thing, but I use this concept in my business now. It's like he had a rule, Mark did. And it was the salespeople don't ever pay for lunch, right? You have to trade. You have to find a business that you give free memberships to in lieu of lunch once a week, right? Every day of the week. It was mandatory. Like you had to have trade outs every week. And you had to have some type of gaming table in your sales pit, right? So whether it be foosball, air hockey, USA versus Russia, pinball, whatever and you had to trade for it. You couldn't buy it. That was the whole thing. Mark was about bartering. It's like it had to be a trade because he started 24-hour fitness with $10,000, and then he cashed out at $4 billion. And he did it all by trading everything. And so he's like a fucking pirate. And so no, he taught me that it was all about business relationships. It was all about earning the right to ask for something, giving something first to get something back. And with my sales team, it's like they used to call us Team No Sleep. Now we call it the Carlitos, which is from a Key and Peele skit. I don't know if you've seen that. The sit down in the chair skit, because it's like they try to tell this guy to do something. He's like, "No, man, I'm good. Like, I do it on my own." It's just like how all of my staff is like they're all a bunch of jackasses. But like we're adults, so now the prizes are a little different, I mean? Like instead of playing video games, smoking pot or going to the bar or getting
whatever motivates
an extra day to have, a fucking, a cabana at the pool at the hotel, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's always different, it's like kind of all rewards, like dangling rewards or giving people something that's fun to have at all times. And it's kind of the same way with the business, it's like, I want when people from day one, I always, I get this from Gary, my, who's my, God, what do I even call Gary now? He's like my, he does all the video stuff for me.
Okay.
But he does so much more. I'm Gary. He's like, I don't know, man. He's my, what did the babies have? Security blanket.
Yeah.
I know if Gary and Natalie are there, like everything's going to be okay.
Your right-hand man.
They've been working with me since 2007. They took a couple years off during the middle when we were a little too hardcore in the partying, but they're back now. And so like I learned this from him is like he always said at our MMA shows, when someone walks in the door, they're gonna know where every dollar that they spent went.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels and that way.
I feel like
but
I feel like a lot of promotions out there. Well, I mean, when you walk in and when I see these people call themselves pro events and then you walk in and it's, it's in a cage with like bullshit production or it's on the floor and like, I like that is something that like the internet always talks shit on me on because people fall off the stage, and it's like, do you understand why it's on a stage? Like, do you get that? Why would you go to a concert and then the people are on the ground and then you're the only one person can see.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be elevated.
So cool.
That's how it is, you know. And falling off the stage is part of the experience. Like, as stupid as it sounds, like me and Sean and Ed, when we're reffing, like, we will always fall. We will catch them and land. The only people that ever been injured falling off the stage that I can think of, like injured, is AJ Agazarm. Which, I mean, how the fuck was I supposed to expect
that was going to happen no matter what? That was going to happen no matter what. AJ
had it coming to him for what he posted on the internet, and nobody was going to catch AJ.
That was a warning.
He was in Florida. Like, sorry, you call yourself the Florida boy. Those fans were not there to see AJ.
Yeah.
And you know, he got hurt. And then other than that, like, the only people that have ever been hurt falling off the stage is me and Sean, I think, from when I caught AJ when Ari threw him off the stage. And then Sean is the main referee now, the skinny one with the ponytail. That dude weighs like 140 pounds, and he throws his body out there and literally catches monsters. Like, he caught Hulk last week. He's just like, oh shit, you know. But it's just like the staff is the only ones that ever get hurt, so I don't know why everybody always bitches about it. But
well, it's part of the show. It's like
they just talk shit about me anyway, so it's like, I don't really care. But yeah, like, having him on the stage is huge, you know. But yeah, I mean, like, that's what I want when someone walks in. Not even when the show starts, like, just walk in, the ambiance, like, boom,
oh man. Your spotlight when a fighter comes out, and that opportunity you give them, that 3 count or 5 count where that hits them, and that music comes, and then you get that walk entrance, and look, you have a belt too. You have a cool ass promotion. Like,
well, you know, the belts. I actually design everyone's belts. I design Third Coast Grappling's. I design EUG's belts.
Wow.
And I do mine. I do awards for, like, and I did ADCC. You know, I do a lot of, like, anytime you see like a really nice award, the chances that I have my hand on that in some way, shape, or form is pretty high. Because I design them. My company does. I bought it. I financed a company in Pakistan during the pandemic that couldn't survive, and I essentially brought him a ton of clients. Even Naga. And
wow,
and
that's a lot of medals. Yeah,
not a fan of, but that's a lot of awards, you know.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And he's just a guy who's been my friend. You know those dear sir, madam emails you get. This guy was the first guy.
Wow.
Before those guys, like, this dude that I work with was the first guy to do that, and he hit me up like 12 years ago, and we developed like a real friendship. Like, he invited me to his wedding and stuff like that. So, like, you know, I had money, and I ordered a bunch of stuff from him to keep him alive, and now he's flourishing. And
awesome.
You know, I love seeing that shit.
Man, you're all about relationships, like you said it.
Everything's about relationships, man. So the relationships with the fighters, it's like, that's why when I get trolled, it trips me out, you know, because it's like, obviously Gordon's my biggest troll that I have, which is not really ever a bad thing, having the most popular fighter talking shit about you. It's like getting aired on TMZ. It's like, does it really hurt you? You know, like, I take it with a grain of salt with anything that he says. Because, like, when it all comes down, like, you know, it's like I said before, like, I do pay his paychecks because Flow Grappling pays him, and I create money for Flow, and that's just how it works. Like, I need him, he needs me. We both need each other for ADCC. Say whatever he wants. He is the best in the world, so he can do it, and he can back it up, and he can beat the shit out of anybody he wants. So whatever, you know, he doesn't like me. It is what it is. But he came up in the system just like everybody else did. Came up fighting for a little bit, got paid more, got paid a lot more, kept getting paid more, you know, and then, but the rest of the trolls, other than him, they don't even know me. Like, first of all, they're not even real people. Because most of them are only fucking white belts and blue belts anyways. So it's like, I wouldn't even know their names if they trained in my own gym. And that's just a black belt joke, but I actually know a lot of the blue belts.
You know, you touched on something that
but it makes me laugh every time I see it. And I'm like, you've never even been to a show. You've never even fought on a show. And then you're sitting there touting your IBJJF or your fucking Naga belt, what you paid $160, $200 to even compete. And you're talking shit about somebody that maybe made $150. Like, do you not understand how fucking math works? Like, it's either like you're negative 200, he's plus 200, so he beat you by $400. Like, how do you not understand that? Like, yeah, people aren't getting rich off of this, but it creates other opportunities too, you know? Like, look at Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod makes a shitload of money on his instructionals, on his fights. He started fighting me for me for free.
Right.
His first fight, he didn't make anything. His second fight, $250. His third fight, $500. Last time he fought for me, I think I paid him like $4,000 or something like that. Yeah. And then obviously our relationship with BJJ Fanatics is huge for these guys.
Yes.
Because, you know, Gordon, for as much shit as he wants to talk about how much money he has, he didn't make that money competing. He made all that money on BJJ Fanatics.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, yes, his competition accolades are what got him the deals with BJJ Fanatics, which made him a millionaire.
Right.
But it works for a lot of other people too.
Right.
You know, and like guys like Judy, like Junie's on his third DVD now. And like, if it wasn't for him stepping on the stage, he wouldn't have had that opportunity. And, you know, one of the best things that I think we do for a lot of the athletes, like Rebamar and anyone that's on Fanatics, is that when they fight on my show, I play their commercials, you know? And so it's like, I try to help these people make money as much as possible in any way, shape, or form. And because right now, especially in this world, like content is king.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, if you're just sitting on the sidelines, like, and no offense, I love this guy, but Lachlan Giles' money's got to be starting to dry up a little bit. Like, he's got to go out there.
Say that because he's been quiet, and he could have. I mean,
why wouldn't he do anything until ADCC? It makes no sense.
Yeah, you're right. It's
cash in as much as you can, do seminars, sell your DVD.
Yeah.
But like Gordon said recently in one of his post-match interviews, or maybe I think he was just talking about like one of the reasons that I think it's funny because I respect him so much, even though he hates me, is that
it's so hard to talk. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a personal thing, I think, for him. But for me, it's all like it's fun and games to me. But he said the reason that I'm trying to show the stuff that I'm showing on my DVDs. So he's literally putting this DVD out there and then executing the technique.
Correct. Right.
On the stage to show people, look what I just did. You can buy it on the DVD. That just happened. And it's like, if you're not competing, you can teach as much as you want on instructional DVDs. But if you're not out there on a stage performing it, it's just technique. It's not shown that it works. Like if Nate Diaz would have said, I have an effective bitch slap that I'm going to do to people, and he did a YouTube video, people would watch it and it would be funny. Right. He did it to Conor McGregor and the last dude he fought. I don't even know what the guy's name is. I know he's like one of the best guys in the world, but I don't really follow him and made that closely. He like bitch slapped the dude and almost like knocked him out, like doing it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you've got to actually go out there and show that your stuff works, you know, so and that's an opportunity that we create. And
you said it.
One of the
symbiotic guys need each other, and even if he's getting
no, I mean, it's not just him. It's like we all need each other.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like the whole thing is it's a circle, right? So it's like the guy walks into the gym because maybe he saw. So the way that we contribute to jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is that someone like us, right? I'm almost 40, you know, you're 38, right? Yeah. We can go out there and compete. Say you go to an MMA show, right?
Right.
I'm going because I got invited by my roommate. He's got a friend that's fighting, right? Mm-hmm. I go to the MMA show, you know, there's tons of hot bitches everywhere. It's fun. It's a cool experience.
Right.
I'm 40 years old. I'm not going to go out there and get punched in the face and fight in a cage.
Right.
It's way too late for me to go fucking do that shit. Right? Now you go to a fight to win show, same experience. Hey, I got a friend doing this grappling thing. You want to come check it out? Mm-hmm. Sure. Why not? I got nothing to do. I go, I see kids, I see adults, I see grandparents, I see parents competing.
Yeah.
This guy's older than me. He's only a blue belt or a purple belt. He's out there and he looks like a rock star.
Right.
You know, and I can do that. Or I'm friends with that person. I bought a ticket to do it. Mm-hmm. I see them. They're healthier. They're posting all this stuff on Instagram, and they're getting, because I mean, what do they say? It's a world of all you want is likes and love on the internet, right? Sure. So it's like, or likes and comments and shares.
Yeah.
That's what people die for nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's like you go and you see this guy with his tournament medals or his walkout photo or any photo or any post, and then you see he's got 300 comments and 400 likes, and you're just like, oh shit, I want that or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's easily attained.
And
all you got to do is go in and train, and everybody gets that experience. Now, whether you go out there and you get wrecked or whether you win, you're going to get good pictures out of it.
Yeah,
I'm going to get you a good Tinder profile pic. I promise. Like it doesn't matter if you win or lose. I'm going to make you look cool at some point. In those 20 pictures, you're going to look awesome.
It's so
and so I mean that's part of it. You know, it's like I wanted to turn a sport that I felt was boring in jiu-jitsu, because it is, into exciting. I felt like watching IBJJF.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like watching IBJJF, it's more exciting now that there's well, I mean, as a black belt, you can watch black belt. I don't know. I think point fighting sucks, man. Like, to be honest, like I've never been a
whole different thing than what you do.
I've never been a fan of it, like getting to 50-50 and standing up and getting 2 points and pounding on your chest. It's like, dude, fuck off. It's funny. It's funny because there's a specific example I have of a woman that fights on my stage, of Luisa Monteiro. I don't know, or Batista. I don't know what her last name is now. She's from Atos, right?
Yeah.
So she first fought for me a fight to win 80 against Anna Carolina, and Gustavo fought against Orlando Montero. I might be wrong, but they both fought like shit. Like they weren't going for submissions. They weren't doing this. Next time they fight, Gustavo's fighting Mateus Denise. Luisa's fighting somebody else. They both lose again. And these are like the best people in the world. And I'm just like, I'm in San Diego with them at this point. And I remember talking to them, and I'm like, you guys just aren't getting it. Like, you're not getting it. Like, you got to fucking just try to kill people. Quit.
Go for it.
When it's so easy. And I don't know if it was with me saying it or Andre or whatever, it clicked. And they're like two of the best murderers I have now, especially Luisa.
Yeah.
She finishes everybody.
She's amazing.
And I just feel like, you know, it changes your mindset to not worry so much about position and points and just, I mean, obviously, if you're great at positions, you're going to get submissions. Like, look at Talis Pontes. I mean, I don't know if your watchers are that educated on the newer people coming up. But look at someone like, you get someone like Mika Gaval, right? Mika is incredible. Yeah. He will submit somebody from everywhere. Then you got someone like Talis, right? Talis probably next year will be like one of those top black belts, like Mateus Gabriel and stuff like that. But Talis breaks you down. He will pass your guard, get to side control, get to mount, finish you from it, like Lovato.
Yes.
Right?
Brutal, right?
Lovato, it's one thing after another. What does he call it? Timeless jiu-jitsu, right? Yes. Sanji, same way, right? And then some people like Gabriel Almeida just fucking jump in the air and try to kill you. Yes. And so people have their different ways of doing it. But I think since we've been doing this for the past 5 years and, Eddie, you know, with the Nogi stuff and with ADCC, people are starting to lean more towards attacking, you know, as opposed to just focusing on scoring points. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it more exciting. Is nobody like every Brazilian in the world, no offense, every time someone gets slammed on my stage, I get all these fucking comments on Instagram. I know, I don't even speak Portuguese, but no jiu-jitsu, blah, 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 no integrity. I don't even know what they're saying, but I'm sure it's something to do, calling me a fat American and all this bullshit I get every single time someone gets slammed. And it's like, so as a spectator, you'd rather watch a guy sit and guard and try to pass guard for 4 minutes or pick somebody up 6 feet in the air and slam them on a fucking stage that is made for slams. Right. It's a professional wrestling stage. There's a reason that I built that thing the way it did. It has flex. Nobody, one person or two people have been knocked out in 180 shows, right? Which is way less that have been knocked out in a regular tournament.
In high school.
Throwing themselves on the head. Yeah.
Yes.
And but I get so much shit for the slams. But it's so, if you're there, it's great. People love it. They love it. Last week we had this guy who's 59 years old. He was fighting Sean, my employee, right? Okay. And Sean's in his guard. And everyone's going, slam him, right? And dude's a black belt, and the guy's like shaking his head, and Sean's like, come on, do it, right? And so I get on the mic, and I'm like, fucking slam him. And so like he picks up Sean, and Sean gets slammed, and the crowd goes fucking ape shit. Amazing. And it's like, it's not even that big of a deal, but it's just like, it's not something you see all the time, especially in jiu-jitsu. And so it's like, we're not spiking people on their fucking skulls. Right. You know, it's not like Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade. Yeah, you know, it's like they're just being picked up and thrown on their back. If you're a black belt, you know how to break fall. Even a blue belt doesn't know how to break fall, and you get the wind knocked out of you. That's your fault. Yes. You know, I did judo my entire life, and I've gotten thrown so much harder in a judo match as a yellow belt child than ever been getting slammed on the stage. For sure. You know? I mean,
that's just one of the things you sign up for. If you want to compete, this is the price of competing, you know?
Well, you gotta know the rules. You gotta know the rules. Like, when I fought Philippe Trovo, that was the last match I had, and he pulled guard, and I picked him up way above my head and slammed him. And I knew I was going to get something cool happen. And then I tried the second time, and he immediately threw a triangle up. Like, I'm talking like split second and finished me. And I tried doing it again, and then just yeah. Oh, no. But I got it was fun. You know what I mean? I had a good time. The crowd liked it. It got like 150,000 views on Instagram. Amazing. So it's like, I just don't understand why people always find something to bitch about, like no matter what.
There's a testament to you too. You're not asking anybody to do anything you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. And same thing with your boy Sean, you know? Like, I mean, that's a testament. All of them.
Because, I mean, but it's fun, dude. And it's like, I don't like to say like, you know, what would you do in a street fight type thing? Because like, we're martial artists. Like, we don't really get in street fights, like, to be honest, you know what I mean? It's like my biggest dream ever is like someone to break into my house. Like, that's like, oh man, like or somebody was like to trade. That's like, it's never happened. Like, I don't think I've been in maybe like 2 physical altercations outside of a match or a cage fight in my entire life, other than like being beat up as a child by like my dad. You know, so it's like, you know, like I just feel like as a martial artist, you always find a way out of things. Yeah. You never look for it, you know, and especially nowadays when you have ears like this, like people don't even fuck with you.
No, they know already. Exactly. You know, you said something real quick, and I'm glad you went there. And I know we're coming on time, but this is like the most sincere compliment I think I could ever get you. And I'm so glad you said that, because I didn't know if I was going to say it or not, but the reason I became your fan was for sure fight to win, right? But not really. What it was an Instagram post, an Instagram story you did. And it was like 2 years ago. And it resonated, dude, it rocked my world so much that I made a YouTube video about it a year and a half ago. And basically it was in the middle of your stories, and you said your greatest accomplishment in life, right, was breaking the cycle of abuse.
Cycle of child abuse, yeah.
Man, that rocked me so hard, Seth. And you know, I'm a father, and like you say, it's hard to hear CEO or founder or anything. Like, if anyone asks me what I do, I got 100 jobs. I say I'm a daddy. You know, I'm a daddy. That's my answer. It's always going to be number one, and then things will go second to that. And this isn't about me, but man, that was why I was like, follow Seth, and then from then on was a big fan of yours. You know, and then I found other things.
I appreciate it, and it's true, man. It's like kids like you that grew up in the system, or you know, people like me that were abused by their parent, people that were, you know, molested by, you know, a babysitter or a fucking teacher or a scout leader or anything like that. I think the statistic is pretty staggering on how it flows down. Like, it never stops, that cycle, you know? And it's not like it's not, and I mean, I watch Law and Order SVU like all the time.
Right.
It's one of my favorite shows, right? Like, now it's kind of whack, but like, you know, for the past 20 years, I've been watching this show and other, you know, Law and Order shows, cop shows. generally whenever someone's a psychopath or does something, you know, disgusting like that, like abuses children or molests children, they usually had it done to them.
Right.
Like it's like, it's like 99% of the time, like these people do this kind of stuff. It's because they're abused, and then it's what they know. And I don't even know if it's a conscious or subconscious thing that happens. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It's just like, for me, it was just like, I have a great relationship with my kids, you know, and I'm divorced. I don't have a great relationship. I'm not great with women. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? Like I've never been in a physically or verbally abusive relationship. Right. Clear. Right. It's like, you know, I've got my issues, you know, but like with my kids and stuff like that, like there's never been any type of abuse. Yeah. Mental, physical, verbal, none of that stuff, dude. Right. And it's like, me and my dad, I just posted this recently too. We didn't really talk for the past like 20 years. And we had a tough situation growing up. My mom passed away when I was 6 of breast cancer. And my dad kind of had like a wire like cut loose when it happened, right? In his head. Yeah. And he never went and sought and got help, right? And so he was either bipolar or manic or whatever you want to call it. Who knows? Sure. But something was off, right? Really bad OCD. People loved this dude, right? Yeah. Until they didn't, because the mask that you put on eventually comes off. Right. It always does. Right. If you're around people long enough, they're going to see the real you come out. Right. And eventually, you know, in the end, he pretty much whittled down his close circle to like 2 people, you know, and that's just kind of what happens. And it's one of those things where when someone passes, and I'm sure, I don't know if your parents are still around, but you being in the system, you probably have a lot of resentment if they haven't already passed. Yeah. For me, I got a lot of closure when he passed away. And it's so odd because when you don't see a person and you don't talk to a person and you don't live in the situation, you think so much about all the bad shit. It's all you think about. Right. And then when they're gone and I'm going through the house, I'm throwing out all this shit and you're seeing all the idiosyncrasies of the person, you know, like the fact that he still had every Star Trek VHS tape that he recorded. Yeah. But he also had every Star Trek DVD.
Wow. He kept both. Yeah.
And he had Star Trek posters still in plastic frames with a $5.99 sticker on them. But it's like, but he also had like comic books that are worth like $100,000. So it's like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like this weird idiosyncrasy of like keeping things, and it makes you laugh. Like you laugh about it. You're just like, the dude is so fucking nuts. Like the things that they don't make sense to normal humans, you know? And it's like, you're going through pictures and like, you wind up telling stories that were like traumatic for you as a kid, but now you're an adult. It's funny. Yes. Like I have this story that my dad, like I eat ketchup with steak, right? And there's a reason behind it, is because my dad always thought that if you didn't eat your meat well done, that you would get salmonella. And so he would make us eat these well done steaks, which is fucking gross, right? And so the only way I could chew it was if I dipped it in ketchup. Now I go to fucking Elway's or you know, STK, and I'm ordering $150 tomahawk steak, dipping it in ketchup, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "It's just how it's got to taste. I don't know, man." And so it's just like, but stuff like that, and then you know what I mean. And it's like, it's just like little things like that, and you're going through pictures because you don't take pictures of the shitty moments, you take pictures of the good moments. Yeah, right. And so you start just remembering like the good things and stuff like that. And at the end, you're like, man, there had to be a way that we could have closed that gap. Yeah. There had to be, you know. And I think a lot of people write people off too easily. I agree. You know, and especially parents.
But I agree. I'm learning more and more that
I just learned this myself, dude.
I'm
like
with you. Yeah.
But it's one of the things of breaking the cycle, because I wound up speaking at his eulogy. I delivered his eulogy, which is, an odd thing for someone that had, abusive parent that he didn't speak to for 20 years. That he literally cut me and my sister out of the will. Like, we were not in the will at all. And it's like mentioned in there that we were not to receive anything. Like, that's how he fucking feels about it.
This isn't clear.
Yeah. And me and my sister are both like pretty successful. She's way more successful than I am, way smarter. And, like, compared to most children, like, most parents would be pretty happy to have, 5 grandchildren and 2 kids that run pretty big businesses from nothing, that we came up. And, but, I'm giving the eulogy and I'm just like, this is just something, like, I talked about breaking the cycle in the past. There's another cycle, which was non-communication. And I honestly, man, if one of my kids murders somebody, I'm still going to be their friend, because it's still my kid. I'll visit them in prison. I'll hang, you know what I mean? Like, I'll always love them and I'll always have contact with them.
Yep.
I don't care if my kids are straight, if my kids are gay, if my kids wind up being bums. Like, I don't care, man. I'm always going to love them. I'm always going to be there for them.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to support whatever it is that they do. And whatever it is, obviously, if you guide your children correctly, you don't have to worry about them being bums and junkies and drug addicts and murderers, hopefully, but you never know, and, because there's a lot of outside forces, peer influence and stuff like that when it comes to drugs and alcohol. But it's also something that we talk about, it's about part of it, it's part of parenting. I have a 15-year-old kid now that is bigger than me. He's going to be one of the most popular kids in school. And it's like, I've been worried about this for 15 years.
Right. Exactly.
15 years. The second he goes to high school, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I've built, I feel, a strong, capable young man that has a good head on his shoulders. But you're going to get to the point where it's going to be decision time, where it's going to be, you got this hot girl here, it's like, you're going to wear a condom or you're not going to wear a condom. Right. You got, all your friends, or because he's not going to play varsity as a freshman, because I'm like very against that.
Let him grow a little, maybe.
No, he's huge. He's like 6 feet tall and 175. Okay. Like, he's ripped. He's big. Yeah, he's big. No, there's some issues. I made the decision to allow him to go to high school with his junior national runner-up football team.
Oh, wow.
And we live a quarter mile from like the powerhouse, like the Varsity Blues high school, like Cherry Creek, which is like every year's state champion. His team decided they want to go to a school that's never won anything ever and be the first ones to be the champions, instead of pulling a Kevin Garnett or Kevin Durant.
Sure.
And so, as a father that wants his kid to go play in college and in the NFL, I feel like it's a terrible decision to do this. But I respect what they want to do. So I'm like, all right, try it as a freshman. You can't play varsity, because in Colorado, if you play one down of varsity and then you transfer schools, you lose a year.
Crazy.
And so I was like, you can't afford to lose a year.
You can't lose a year. Yeah.
So you have to play, that as a freshman, and then we'll just see, but it's like, there's going to be with upperclassmen and drinking and smoking weed and doing all that stuff. So it's just like, you got to hope that all the lessons you instilled in your kid up till now are relevant. And then if they make a mistake, that they learn from the mistake, and that, you have to, it sucks because you just can't live your mistakes through them. They've got to make them themselves.
Yeah.
So hopefully you learn and listen, and, it's a trip being a parent, man, but I've got all different ages. I've got 15, 12 and 8.
Wow.
And they're all so different. My oldest, like I said, he's star football player. My 12-year-old, his whole life has been kind of out of shape and not really athletic. And now he's like fell in love with Muay Thai and fell in love with jiu-jitsu, and he bust his ass. Nobody works harder than him, man.
Wow.
And he's getting in really good shape. He's got his first fight on his 13th birthday.
That's amazing.
He's got a smoker.
Awesome.
He's treating it like a UFC fight, man. Yeah. 2 a day, watching everything, eating extra stuff. And I'm really proud of him. And my 8-year-old likes cartoons and sparkly things and snuggling and playing video games. Like every kid's different and you treat them all differently. You know, I can talk about my kids for 5 hours.
No, I'm with you, man. No,
but it's what it is, though, man. It's like everything I do in some way, shape, or form is for them. You know, it's like I just got this arcade a couple days ago. I had built, and it's funny because I was like, I want to do something for my 40th birthday, right? Mm-hmm. So me and my sister and some of my friends, like we got like front row tickets to Machine Gun Kelly in Denver, and we're like huge NBA fans, so that'll be fun. But I was like, I want something like just something like for my whole family. So I got like this crazy multi-cade arcade, and it's like I'm a huge Skeletor fan.
Oh wow, like I love He-Man. That's awesome. Yeah,
like obsessed. I don't know if you can see this thing. Can you see it?
Oh, the arcade! Wow, that's sweet. Yeah, the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, so I had it wrapped in He-Man stuff because I'm a giant child that collects toys. And so, but it's like it's like all four of us are there playing like The Simpsons and stuff, you know. It's just like something fun for all of us, you know. It's like I always try to find those things that everybody can do together.
They're gonna remember that.
It's tough being. Yeah, you know, it's like things like that. But you know, it's like you said, man, it's the number one job, and it's like the thing that has to push you to do everything that you do. You know, for sure.
Awesome, Seth. Man, this was great.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, though, man. That post is that was a big post for me to put out there. I always like to post that and about my sobriety from alcohol. I can't say that I'm completely sober anymore because I take edibles to go to sleep.
Okay.
Which is the only it's funny because it's the only drug I take other than like my depression meds. And like everybody calls me a cokehead. I don't know why. I think it's funny because I've never done it, so I make jokes and say that I do. But you know, it's like I've never even tried it. But whatever. But I always like to post, you know, about breaking because I think it's good to make yourself vulnerable because there's other people that don't want to talk about that stuff and feel like it's their fault or something's wrong with them.
Right.
You know, I you know, because I felt that way for a long time, man. Like, you know, it was my fault that I got beat up. You know how it goes, dude. Sure. And it's like. It's tough to try to be the cool guy all the time, you know, and you know, act like, you know, nothing's ever wrong or everything's so fun and easy, and it's just not, you know.
And you can help so many more.
Like people. I love Dana White. Like I'm a huge
I
mean, I'm a huge fan of Dana White. Like huge fan. I met the dude in person multiple times, and he's super fucking cool.
Awesome.
But he's not relatable. You can't. Like, I love Dana, dude, but like, unless you're like probably in his really tight circle, you'll never know anything about that dude. Like,
I'm
you know what I mean?
He has to insulate himself.
That hardcore demeanor at all times, and there's no human qualities, you know, that or like, you know, like some of the basketball people on TV, you know, it's like Shaq, you know, it's like, I mean. He's hilarious. He's goofy. He falls down like Shaq'd in a Fool and all that stuff. That's why that show that Inside the NBA is so popular because all those guys like expose their flaws.
Right.
And like Charles Barkley always says stupid shit and he's always wrong. You know. Right. And but they're personable and you can connect and communicate with them because you get it. You know. And I think that's, you know, a lot of the reason that I'm a fan of a lot of people and a lot of different rock stars and musicians and stuff. It's not like the ones that had the easiest that talk about money and all this stuff. I like the ones that struggled and the stories and you know, like that's what I connect with.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like if I don't know if you've ever watched it, but the tragic history of Slipknot, that YouTube video,
will though.
Watch it. And but it's like it's so funny. If I would have seen the Frank Shamrock story that I watched 10 years ago, I would have been the biggest fan of that guy.
Oh, for sure.
The biggest fan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand that guy.
Yeah.
For no reason. Right? Because you know why I didn't like him? Because of his interviews with Nick Diaz.
Yeah.
Because Nick made him look like such a dick. Because Nick's fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're just like, this guy's not relatable. And then you watch the video and you're like, oh my God, I didn't like this guy while he was fighting for no reason.
Right.
He's amazing. His story's incredible.
Right.
I wish that people would tell those stories while they're in their career, not after their career. Elliot Marshall's a great example too.
Great.
I don't know if you know Elliot.
Yeah.
But Elliot Marshall, fuck, dude, I'm not going to lie. I couldn't stand Elliot for so long, and now he's one of my coaches. Yeah. And I think it's because he just put out that dickhead attitude all the time. Yeah. And now he talks about his anxiety and all this stuff, and he's so relatable. And when I get to go to a class and Elliot's teaching, it's like the class I look forward to most. Yeah. Because you're going to get more out of it than just technique. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I just wish people would make themselves more vulnerable so people can see who they really are instead of who they want people to think they are.
I agree, man.
You know?
Yeah. And I do believe that our community, like the jiu-jitsu community, we got a lot of wounded birds. You know, we all wanted to defend ourselves for a reason, you know, and maybe it was just because we fell in love with it or it looked cool or because whatever. But I also believe a lot of us wanted to maybe not get beat up. And, you know, I think it's, again, in our community, you sharing that made an impact on me. I'm sure tons of others. So again, to your point, if more others do it, man, it's way better than trying to be the cool guy in the room, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Seth,
I really appreciate it, man. This is a fun.
Man, I enjoyed this so much. I'd love to do it again with you sometime, anytime, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's once I get the ADCC stuff rolling, let's do something. We can talk about that because that is a fucking mind fuck, dude. That event, it's crazy. Like people don't know, like everything that goes on behind the scenes of that event. From like getting permission to do something, like the way Mo's mind works. I have like a unique insight into Mo's mind. It's the dude's nuts, bro. He's crazy. And so it's like it's a fun thing, and people see the end result, but like the leading up to it, it's a nightmare, and it's a 2-year nightmare.
Yeah.
You know? And for this time, it'll be a 3-year nightmare that me and Mo, I mean, he's the guy, you know, because he's the professional one of us. You know, I'm not very professional, but so he's the one that's like out there all the time, but there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And once we get the event rolling, it would be fun to kind of chronologue some of the crazy shit that happens behind the scenes for that event.
Yeah. We'll see kind of the logistics.
Yeah, it'll be fun. You got it. Where do you live at?
I'm in Chicago.
Where are you based out of?
Yeah, Chicago.
Oh, great. Yeah. Where do you train at?
Valco BJJ.
Who do you train with?
Jay Valco.
Oh, yeah. I got some friends out there. Is Matt Maney still there? No, or is he Uflak? No, he's at Valco.
Matty Wallace, maybe?
You know that name?
Yeah. No, I don't know him, but that doesn't mean he's not there.
Yeah. The Valco's got a tough team, man.
A lot of great guys and girls.
Chicago. Guys, not even that. It's the crowd. The crowd fucks there, man. It's amazing.
For sure.
We're back there in October.
Oh, awesome. Man, I'm there.
So we're back. Yeah.
October.
Yeah. We're back there in October, and then on our way back east. And so now we're back to full touring. So
I'm so glad. This is such good news. Show. Yeah, this is so great.
Yeah, it's a trip. I'm actually going to the venue right now because we're figuring out how we're going to do our production because it's time to change it up. It's that time. So you got to unload everything, rebuild it from scratch. From scratch. Like we wipe everything, wipe the boards, wipe everything clean, wipe the video walls, and rebuild we do this like once a year usually, but we haven't done it. Last time we did it was in December, but it was very depressing because it was downsizing.
Yeah.
And everyone thought I didn't sell anything. I didn't sell any of my shit. I just put it in storage. Sure. And so now it's like, okay, let's fucking time to bring everything back. Now, what's it going to look like? What's the new vision? Yeah. And so, it's going to be interesting to see what happens today. Yeah. And, the show is going to look very different this weekend than it has the past 6 months. So
I can't wait.
I'm excited for it. I like change. So the hardest part, like I said, about this quarantine, and no offense, I love Texas with all my heart. It's my home, but I'm so ready to get back on the road and hit a new city every week.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, some markets are going to, some markets are getting 2 shows. Like LA is getting 2 shows. Phoenix is getting 2 shows.
Cool.
And then like if we wind up in New York or Philly might get 2 shows, but for the most part, it's be 1, just like we used to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm excited, man. I can't wait to see everybody. Like in Chicago. I can't wait to see Mark. And, you know, I love Mark Vivas and that team out there, and Omar, you know, and the, you know, the dudes from your team and the Uflaker guys. And it's just so many relationships we've built over the past 5 years. Yes. I kept talking to people, so it's not like they're gone, but it's like, you know, it's like, I haven't seen these people in a long time because a lot of people can travel. You know, it is like go even we went to Atlanta. We haven't been to Atlanta in 150 shows, and we just did a show in Atlanta, and it was small because I only had like 3 days to put the card together. We still had like 250 people, which for now us is pretty good.
Amazing for 3 days.
It was like seeing like Pete. You know, Pete was there. Then we went to Charlotte. That was our first show that we've done in a new market since Hawaii, which was number 100.
Wow.
You know, so 80 shows passed before we went to somewhere new. And we went to Charlotte because Betty from Roll Forever pitched me going to the Carolinas. And I'm so glad I did because the crowd was awesome. Like, I mean, we only had like 300 people there, but they were loud and they were into it and they were having fun, man. And like, I DJ the events. And I put a lot of work into it. It's one of those. It's stupid. I know, like anybody can play a song, but I like mix songs and like I put a lot of attention to the playlist. And I care a lot about it. It sounds stupid, but for me, it's like it's a fun thing. Like I like to watch the crowd and see when their heads nod or when they're like, you know, looking back, or they're like, what the fuck? Like when I drop Hanson, you know, just, like, they look back at me and I'll drop some mbop on them and just like hardcore, you know. People always like video like, dancing and stuff during the show to my own music, you know, but it's fun, man. And it's just like every different city has a different vibe. And so it's like, you know, you get to go to Chicago. I've mixed in like I'll play some Rise Against and mix it in with some Kanye or something and like blend them with other artists from the market and stuff like that, you know. So it's like every time, like this weekend, I have like a bunch of dope Flowbot and 303 mixes. That I put together this past week, and it's just fun. It's fun to do that when you're in Dallas for 6 months.
You lose some of that creativity.
It gets old. You know? I love the city. I love it. It's my second home, but fuck, I'm ready to go back to Chicago, Minnesota, and just see new people and old people again. And I'm so excited about it. And just got to make sure I put together. You know, the quality of fight cards is definitely there now. Thank God. Because there was a while where it was impossible to put together fight cards. I'm having to narrow down to get to 50 matches again, which is awesome.
Yeah, great
like
problem.
During quarantine in the beginning, getting 15 matches was like pulling teeth. And now it's like cutting down to 50. I could have 100 matches on the show this weekend, but I have like a time frame I like to stay within. Yeah. So it's like I'm like trying to whittle everything down right now. And then I'll start on Houston. And it's just like, man, it's like, it's so fun to see these names again and build these posters and see. You know what? The one thing that's really crazy, I'll leave you on this, is that one thing I've noticed a lot, mainly in Denver, is amount of new academies that have opened.
Interesting.
And I think because some major academies, and I know in my market, one of my schools, in my I don't own, it's just that's where I train.
Sure.
Closed down. There was COVID issues, whatever happened. And it literally branched into 5 schools. Like from that school.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Came into 5 different locations.
Yeah.
And I'm like seeing this. I'm like, GFT Denver, what the fuck? Gracie Baja Denver? What? Yeah. Like I've never even heard, I had no idea these schools existed until I did this show.
Yeah.
And these guys are like flown in from wherever. And somebody backed them and they opened a school and I'm like, cool, welcome to fucking Colorado. Let's see what you're worth. Like, I don't even know these guys. I've got 4 black belt matches on the show this weekend. I don't know either guy, and they're all from Colorado.
Wow. Yeah.
Everyone here. And I'm excited to see that all over. I'm not hoping a lot of schools shut down and this happened to.
No, yeah.
But I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot of little schools all over the United States that weren't there before.
For sure.
Which is exciting to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I like to see people. I'm not saying I like to see people be creonch, but I like to see people go off on their own and take the risk and start their own business and it's effect. And I'm just excited to see. It's cool, man. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, man, Chicago. And then if you ever want to come and take one of the shows, just let me know.
I'd love to. I'll message you and we'll definitely stay in touch 100%.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the interview. I appreciate
Seth, it. Completely my pleasure. Again, everybody follow this man if you already don't. Seth Daniels, thank you again. This is true story.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good day.